Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of 7-Minute AE Tutorials, where you learn tips, tricks, and shortcuts in 7 minutes or less. No BS, just AE. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to control multiple transform properties with a slider control. In our example, we'll be linking the x-axis and rotation of tires and the x-axis of a vehicle to a slider control, which will allow us to get a realistic movement. This will save time by only requiring one set of keyframes, as well as not having to worry about lining up the movement of our car with the exact rotation of our tires. There's a lot to get through, so let's dive right in. Okay, so we have the body of a race car here, and as you can see, it's just a shape layer with some groups that I've renamed. We need to create tires to move on our car, so let's right-click, new shape layer, and we'll call this tire. Let's open this up, and we're going to add a group, add an ellipse, and add a fill, and let's just make that black. That's going to be our tire. And let's go ahead and just position this about where we want it. And we're going to increase the size of this, obviously. So we'll rename this group tire, duplicate that, and let's rename this rim, change this to like a dark gray, and decrease our ellipse size. Duplicate this tire layer, and we'll call this lug nuts. If we just have the tire like this, you can't really get a sense of the rotation. By adding lug nuts, you kind of get an idea of how the tire is going to turn. So let's open this up right here. We'll get rid of this tire layer, rename this rim layer to lug nuts. And let's go ahead and open this up, change this gray to something a little bit darker with lug nuts highlighted, add a repeater. And we're going to want, we'll say 6 copies of this. I want to decrease this, maybe go a little bit darker. Let's open up our transform properties for the repeater. To make a circle of any shape using the repeater, you have to go into your rotation and type in 360 divided by the number of copies you have. In our case, it's 6. We want to make our position and anchor point 0. And then let's go up to our ellipse path. And we're going to use the Y position to move this up slightly. And you can see how they start to go into place. Tweak the size settings of these. I say we go even a little bit darker. We go back into our tire. Let's duplicate this rim layer, and we will make it the same color as our lug nuts. And we will call this inner circle. Reduce the size of this ellipse path. Highlight the lug nuts and tire layers, and let's go to layer, pre-compose. We'll call this tire. Click OK. Go into our contents. Let's look at this tire group here. We see our ellipse path size is 263 by 263. So Command K, and let's go a little bit higher than 263. So we'll say 275 by 275. And then let's parent these lug nuts to this tire here. And with tire highlighted, let's align this to the center of our comp. Let's go back into our car pre-comp here, move this back to about where we want it, then Command D to duplicate it, and we can move this tire to about where we want it in the front, add an adjustment layer. Then we're going to go up to Effect, Expression Controls, and we're going to choose Slider Control. Let's go ahead and rename this X-Axis. We'll call this X-Controller. And let's lock down this effect control here, so that way whenever we click away, this won't go anywhere. I've already separated the X and Y axis on our car. We need to do the same thing for our tires. Let's go to the first tire, right click on position and choose separate dimensions. So that way we get X and Y. And same thing for the other tire, right click, separate dimensions. We're also going to want to bring up our rotation. So hold down Shift and choose R for both. So holding down the Option button, we're going to click our X position in our tire. And we're just going to pick whip this to the word slider. And we want to do the same thing with our rotation. So Option, click, rotation, and go to our slider. And we're doing the same thing for the other tire. So Option, click X, slider, Option, click rotation, slider. For our shape layer, let's go ahead and rename this car body. We want to grab again our X position. So Option, click X and hit slider. A lot of these things have gotten moved around, so we can fix that real quick. First, let's move our X axis to the middle, so that way our car is somewhere right around here. Let's just rename this back tire, and we'll say this is front tire. And on this X position script here, if you go to the very end and just type in -350, it will take the script that is connected to our slider and move it backwards 350 pixels. And then if we do the same thing for the front tire, but type +350, and as we click away, we see it moves our tire to the front position. Highlight our X controller here, go to the very beginning, click I, and let's just move this off camera. And we'll put a keyframe for our slider control. And if you hit U, it brings that up. And let's go to about maybe 1 second, and we'll change our X value to 960, so it's in the middle of our screen. Let's right click and ease that in, open up our graph editor and pull this handle to the left. So as you see, the way that the car comes in is it slows down, so do the tires. Now I've created this other comp here. Bring in our car pre-comp first of all, and then I've created this background landscape here. So we're going to drag that in. If we go into our car pre-comp, as you can see, we can't really decrease the size of the car body because the tires won't go with it. And we can't really parent these tires to the car body because then it messes up our script. So that's why I wanted to pre-comp this car. We can now decrease the scale of the car pre-comp, and we can move it around however we want on the y-axis, which is another thing that probably should be addressed here. By using this script, you can't really move the car on the y-axis up and down. This script only works for the x-axis. So now what we can do, say we wanted to drive in and stop in the middle of the screen. The car, as of right now, comes in right here, and it comes in off of our pre-comp. One way to solve that issue is to continuously rasterize this car pre-comp, and so it comes in all the way, but we still need to go completely off screen. Let's go back into this car pre-comp. Let's just move it back, and let me see if I can put a few more keyframes in here to really illustrate this better. So as we see, it comes in, and as the car slows down, so do the tires, and then we just watch how the tires move slowly right with the car. Just remember, you want to separate your property into X and Y positions, and you want to link your X position and rotation of your tires to the slider control. You also want to separate your car body into X and Y positions and connect that X position to the slider. So that way everything moves along on the same axis and at the same speed. I hope this helped you out. You can use this script specifically for anything that has tires, whether it's a robot or a vehicle of any kind. Something where the tires need to move in conjunction with a vehicle, and you don't want to have to keyframe the rotation of the tires and match it up to the positioning of your vehicle. Slider controls are very useful when you need to manipulate single or multiple properties at once. You can attach any number of transform properties, effect intensities, and other values to slider controls. I highly recommend playing around with slider controls and seeing for yourself how it can save you time. Thanks for watching. See you next time.